Residents block Wait a Bit roadway in protest over fatal police shooting. Irritated residents of Wait a Bit and surrounding areas staged a protest on Thursday morning, blocking section of the roadway following the fatal shooting of a community member. The outraged demonstrators fitted large trees and used debris to block the road to vehicular traffic. According to preliminary reports, police were conducting an operation when they approached a house in the community where the man was shot. Details surrounding the incident remain unclear, but residents are claiming that the man was shot in cold blood and are demanding justice. The Independent Commission of Investigations INDECOM has launched a probe into the circumstances surrounding the shooting. Schoolgirl taxi operator charged with murder. A 28-year-old taxi operator and a 15-year-old female student have been jointly charged with murder as police point to an alleged love triangle. Danica Williamson and the teen, both of White House Avenue in Kingston, are facing charges of murder, conspiracy to murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, and unauthorized possession of ammunition following the shooting death of a man on Swansea Avenue in the parish on Monday, March 24. The deceased has been identified as 25-year-old Kennard Thompson of Bond Street, Kingston 14. Allegations are that both adult men were involved in an intimate relations with the underage teen, girl, and Williams and the teenager allegedly orchestrated a plan to kill Thompson. The Constance Spring police reported that about 11 a.m. on March 24, the teenager reportedly lured Thompson to the Avenue area. Whilst walking along the roadway, Williamson, along with two men traveling in an orange Kia motor vehicle, drove up. They allegedly held Thompson and shot him several times before fleeing the scene. The police were alerted on their arrival. They observed the vehicle speeding away. They managed to intercept the vehicle and apprehended Williamson as he attempted to escape over a wall. The teenager was apprehended by the police on Tuesday. The duo was charged on Wednesday, and their court date is being arranged. Teacher who killed his parents to spend 7 more years in prison. Portmore resident Simon Ramsey, who pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter arising from the killing of his parents 3 years ago, was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment on each count in the St. Catherine Circuit Court on Thursday. Ramsey, who is a teacher, stabbed to death 69-year-old Minister of Religion Cecil Ramsey and 55-year-old Phyllis Ramsey, former Vice Principal of St. Andrew Preparatory School, on February 4, 2022. When Ramsey appeared before Justice Bertram Morrison, defense attorney Tom Tavares Vinson outlined the mental state of his client when he committed the offense. Ramsey reportedly suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Tavares Vinson told the court that the social inquiry, the antecedent, and community reports all show that Ramsey acted out of character. Justice Morris said that he agreed that due to his mental state at the time, which was reflected in the psychiatric reports, plus 3 years spent in jail, it was reasonable to impose 7-year sentences. The judge also warns that Ramsey must take his medication during his incarceration. Ramsey pleaded not guilty to murder and guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter on November 6, 2023. The court was told that on February 4, 2022, Ramsey visited the home of his parents in Christian Meadows, Portmore, St. Catherine, where he used a knife to stab them both to death. He then drove away his mother's Toyota Axio motor car, which he crashed in Dunhull in St. Catherine. He was held and subsequently charged with murder. Correctional officer allegedly caught with illegal gun and ammunition granted bail. A correctional officer was reportedly held with an illegal gun during a traffic stop in Kingston in February was yesterday offered $1.5 million bail. The 35-year-old defendant Richard Newton was offered bail in the gun court by Justice Lisa Palmer Hamilton following an application by his attorney, DeAndre Buchanan. Newton is charged with possession of prohibited weapon and possession of unauthorized ammunition. The condition of his bail included reporting to the police station and surrendering his travel documents with a stop order in place. He was given a curfew order. The allegations are that about 2:30 a.m. on February 23rd, a police team was on patrol when they spot a motor vehicle in which Newton and 2 other men were traveling. Newton exited the vehicle and was reportedly observed with a Glock 19 bulged in his waist. The weapon had a magazine with 9mm rounds. He was subsequently arrested and charged. Attorney at law John Jacobs also represented Newton. Lay Magistrate Association says it's not within its power to decommission JPs who collect money for services rendered. It only identifies them. The Lay Magistrate Association of Jamaica (LMAJ) says it is not within its powers to decommission justices of the peace who are collecting money for services rendered. President Haven explained that while the LMAJ identifies the offending JP, the dismissal has to come from the Parish Chief Justice, which is a custos. Mr. Haven was speaking at a press conference hosted by the LMAJ on Tuesday, which was responding to queries about the actions being undertaken against some JP who charge citizens for their services. He stressed that the LMAJ is not in favor of such behavior.
As far back as I can remember, when I was commissioned in 1999, the mandate is that you do not collect money for services rendered. It is frowned upon by the executive and the members of the LMAJ. Our members are not allowed to collect for services rendered. And if we find members who have done such, investigated and determined that that individual, that justice, has been collecting for services, we will make a recommendation to the custos for that person to be decommissioned. It's not a question of tolerance or, trying to make an excuse. It is totally and absolutely inappropriate. Having made a recommendation, we can't dismiss the justice of the peace. The LMAJ is not a body that can exercise that penalty. It has to come from the parish and the parish chief justice, which is the custos.
Forensic investigator unsure whether the scene was secured. A forensic examiner from the Independent Commission of Investigations (INDECOM) admitted on Thursday that he could not confirm whether the Barnett Street police station cell, where Mardine was beaten on August 3, 2014, had been secured before his arrival. Peter Parkins, the agency's crime chief scene examiner, made this admission during cross-examination in the trial of Corporal Elaine Stewart and constables Juliana Cleveland and Marlon Grant, who are facing charges in connection with Dean's death. Dean died 3 days after being beaten at the Barnett Street lockup in Montego Bay, St. James. Parkinson presented photographs and video footage of his investigation at the cell, which took place on August 4, 2014, 1 day after the incident. He documented blood marks inside and outside the cell. However, during cross-examination by defense attorney Martin Thomas, Parkinson admitted that he could not confirm whether the scene had been contaminated by others before he and other investigators arrived. Do you agree that the incident which brought you to Barnett Street Police Station took place roughly 24 hours before you arrived? Asked the attorney. Correct, stated Parkinson. Do you agree that between midday on August 3, 2014 and sometime in the afternoon on August 4, 2014, you cannot tell what happened at the crime scene? Asked Thomas. Correct, Parkinson replied. The truth is, you cannot say whether or not the substance that you photograph that appear to be Mardine's blood, whether they form part of your crime scene, because you do not know when they got there and how they got there. Do you agree? Asked Thomas. Since I was not there, I can't say, Parkinson answered. Additionally, Parkinson stated that he could not confirm whether other prisoners were in any other cells at the facility at the time of his visit. He noted that the information he received before arriving related to the incident, not the condition of the crime scene. Cross-examination will continue, with Cleveland lawyers Dalton Reed set to question Parkins further. Stewart, Cleveland, and Grant were charged with manslaughter and misconduct of public office in connection with Dean's death. Stewart is also charged with perverting the court of justice, as she allegedly ordered the cleaning of the cell before INDECOM arrived. To subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.